Hey guys, this is Gideon. Yeah, my buddy Gideon, and he came in, and we are cooking together right here in Allie's kitchen. And the thing about having friends from all over the world is we get to learn each other's techniques and learn new things about cooking and ways to do things. And I truly believe that our common DNA is food, when we break bread together. So,
Indeed.
Gideon, tell them a little bit about you and what we're going to do today.
Hello. So I lived in Singapore and Thailand for about 15 years, and one of the techniques that I learned in cooking, in Asian style cooking, was velveting. Now today I'm going to show you the shockingly simple technique of tenderizing your proteins, that's meats and shellfish, using velveting. It's a secret. There's about 1.5 billion people around the world that know how to use it. And I'm sure that when you've been to your local Chinese restaurant, you've marveled at the fact that the stir fries are always tender and moist, and they're never overcooked. And you wonder how they do it, and I'm going to show you how they do it today. So the very simple technique is using very basic ingredients that you can find either in your supermarket or in your Asian supermarket, and there's no expense to it. It's very variable, so you can marinate for a short time or a long time, and the measurements are not that important, and so I'll go over all of that.
And I'm going to be making notes because I'm going to post this on the website and on YouTube, so you will have this video to learn the technique of velveting. But you did say that the one protein that you do not recommend doing it with is
beef.
Beef.
It's beef. It becomes a little bit mushy, and you may even have noticed that in your local restaurants, your Chinese restaurants. I don't like to do it. If it's a really inexpensive cut, then you can try it, but pork, chicken, shrimp, and today we're lucky enough to have a beautiful lobster tail. So I wanted to show you that it's really a very flexible technique. So let's get started.
Can you do it with lamb?
That's a good question. I've never tried it. Do we think we can do it with lamb? Yes. Yeah. The consensus is we can do it with lamb. I mean, obviously you wouldn't use an expensive cut, but with a cheaper cut, yes, I would do it with lamb.
Okay, let's get started.
So
I want to learn about velveting, and I know you do too, because you can do it at home, regardless of where you live. You can do it because these ingredients are just everyday ingredients.
Very good.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, so the first thing you need is an egg, and we're going to take just the egg white. So I'm going to crack the egg and remove the yolk. We're going to have about 20 or 22 ounces of meat today, and that's one egg yolk, one egg white. If you decide that you're going to do a large amount of food, then you can multiply roughly according to that. It's not that important. You will see some recipes where they substitute baking soda for egg white. I prefer egg white, but if that happens with baking soda, it's fine as well. Most important ingredient is cornstarch, just regular cornstarch. You want to have about, for this amount of meat, about a teaspoon, and just drop it in there like that. Salt. Salt's very important. I'm going to use just regular table salt. About a quarter of a teaspoon.
Okay.
Now you will see some recipes that say you can use soy sauce, which you can, but soy sauce has salt in it. So if you do use soy sauce or even oyster sauce, then leave out the salt. Today we're not going to use any of the extra flavorings. We're just going to use the simple ingredients, and then the other ingredient we're going to use is mirin. Now mirin is sake. It's like slightly sweetened sake. Sake is made from rice. If you can't find mirin, this is quite a fancy one. You can find them in the regular grocery store, sometimes in really big bottles. It's useful in so many things, and if you've never cooked with mirin, you can substitute that for rice vinegar or wine or anything else, but only if it's not too sweet. So you need to monitor the sugar level.
So the mirin has a little sweetness to it.
Mirin has a little sweetness.
Okay.
If you can't find mirin, for this you can use rice vinegar for the velveting.
Okay.
But we're not going to use that today. So for the mirin, I'm going to use just about a little bit more than the cornstarch. So it's going to be about 1.5 tablespoons.
Teaspoons.
Excuse me, teaspoons. This looks very thick, so I'm just going to use the one flat and a little bit extra for luck.
Okay, so if you invest in a bottle of mirin,
Yeah.
What else could you use it for in your cooking? Because we want to show you how you can extend and use these Asian ingredients to do other dishes. So what are some things you could
So
use it for?
the most obvious one will be stir fries. You can use that to taste. Teaspoon, a couple of teaspoons. Anything where you might use cooking oil where you're frying, you can try and incorporate that. So there's a wide range of options.
And this is long lasting.
Yeah, that years.
Yeah, and you don't have to refrigerate it.
You don't have to refrigerate it,
Okay.
but if you do, then it's okay as well.
Okay.
So I've got the ingredients in this little ramekin, and so I'm just going to mix them up. Just stir them backwards and forwards. Now, when we're going to mix the meat, there's one way you can do it, which is in a large Ziploc bag. Now today we didn't have a large Ziploc bag, we only had a small Ziploc bag, so we're just going to use a glass bowl and put the ingredients in there. That hasn't quite mixed up, so I'm just going to mix it up a little bit more.
Would you like a little whisk?
Yeah, you can whisk it.
Yeah, that might do it faster.
If it clumps, it doesn't matter. You do want to try and mix it through, but the little pieces of flour won't matter at all, and they'll just come out when it gets cooked.
Great.
Okay, so we're going to take our pork chops. Each one's about 6 or 7 ounces, and just slice them thinly. It's not too important, as you know, with stir fries. It's a very fast cooking method, so you don't want to have it too thick. And this is the piece that we're going for. But there's a lot of variation. Some people would do it thicker or thinner, and I'm just using this size.
So these are boneless, skinless pork chops, and they've got a lot of nice marbling in them. Don't
Yes, they do.
Yeah. And that marbling means flavor, so that's what you want to look for. So this is about 1.5 pounds of boneless, skinless.
Yeah. Use a Ziploc bag, then you can just put it all in the Ziploc bag and play around with it. I've washed my hands, and I'm going to use my hands and just mix it through. And even though it looked like there might not be enough to coat everything, we've gone through all of the pork, and everything is
There was plenty of it. Yeah.
everything is nicely coated, and that will sit depending on where you live. If you live in a warm climate, then put it in the fridge for half an hour. Otherwise, you can leave it out.
Okay.
So that's the technique.
So this is, and how long are we going to let this marinate?
30 minutes. If it's 20 minutes, it's fine. If it's overnight, it's fine. But 20 minutes to a couple of hours is what you're looking for. We're also going to throw the lobster tail in there as well. And then when we cook it, we'll move it to one side. So I'm just going to take this process. So we've got the lobster tail. I'm just going to slice it down the middle. And we want to make quite big chunks because we're stir frying. There's just a little vein that we're going to pull out. And quite big chunks for stir frying.
Nice. Ooh.
And if you have a prawn, then I would normally cut the prawn in half. A shrimp, excuse me.
Shrimp?
Yeah, in England we call them prawns, but you call them shrimp. If you take a shrimp, then if it's unless it's a huge shrimp, I would cut them so you might get two pieces out of one shrimp. And don't slice them diagonally, slice them in half because they need to retain their texture. So.
And we have our vegetables. I'm going to show you what we have that is going to go in the stir fry. So this is enough for 6 people. And we've got a variety of things. We've got, broccoli, cauliflower, sugar snap peas, peppers, onions, all kinds of things. This is going to be amazing.
Yes. Now, one thing I should say is that when you're doing stir fries, if you lived in Asia, then that's the equivalent of a potluck, whatever happens to be hanging around the kitchen. So the vegetables that Ali showed you, if you have this or you don't have that, it really doesn't make any difference. And just put in what you have. And it's similar for the meats. So whatever's available, chicken is good. Chicken breast is ideal because chicken breast, as you all know, immediately goes dry. And if you will be amazed if you velvet a chicken breast using exactly this technique, and you don't tell anyone you've done it, then you will be amazed that they will say, "How did you do this?" And you can tell them, or you cannot tell them.
Oh, that's right. Keep it a secret. Along with 1.5 billion people.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I'm the special teams velveting kicker. So that's my that's my task for today.
Okay.
So this is Asian velveting for protein. Very simple technique, and I really would encourage you to try it as soon as you possibly can, because it's so versatile. And when you're doing things that aren't stir frying, but you're preparing the meats, like let's say you're doing a bake or a casserole or something, you can do that separately and then add it in at the very last moment, and then you'll have nice tender meat.
And then when you serve your guests and they say, "Oh my gosh, this is so good," you can say, "I used a special technique, velveting," and they're going to go, "Woo!"
Indeed, and it's fresh and healthy, and it really is quite foolproof.
Okay, thanks. Gideon, thank you so much. And we'll be doing the stir fry later.
Fantastic.
Okay. Okay, thank you.